If you've been with the show long enough, this name we're about to bring back on the show, very familiar back in our radio days.
Oh, he's back to doing sports talk up there in Northwest Arkansas, ESPN Arkansas, huh?
Is that what he's doing? Because the headshot I was looking at in the commercial break there looked like he was a motivational speaker.
Oh, he is. He's very motivational.
It was a well done headshot.
Yeah, Bo Mattingly is with us. He and voice of the Razorbacks, Chuck Barrett, do a show every single morning there in Arkansas. Welcome back, Bo. How are you?
I'm doing great, guys. It's good to see you, man. This is like old times.
So mornings, though. You had afternoons. Mornings.
Yeah, that's tough.
And these guys don't want to admit it. They wanted to do mornings at one time. They felt my pain after a couple of years. Mornings are brutal.
That's where the good shows are, though, right?
I don't think that matters. But how different are mornings to afternoons for you?
Oh, man. I remember following you guys. I got in Jim's truck one morning on the way in to do the morning show back in the day when we were doing the training day show for ESPN.
Yep.
Went to it. Ayla and they were there in 2018, and we got in Jim's car to go shoot a radio segment. You guys talking about the team and thinking, man, this is early. You guys do this every day. And I guess I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy smokes, for real? Like, what were we thinking here? Like, you think I get up early? Like, you think, oh, I'm a 6 a.m. guy. I mean, I can get up a little bit earlier. Totally different deal than getting up at 6, having a cup of coffee. Reading the newspaper or online or whatever you do and kind of easing your way into the day. Now it's like wake up at 4 and just hit the ground running, as you guys know. And it's been an interesting experience. But, Chuck and I wanted to do the show in large part because we just felt like there was a little bit of a gap in a show of record for Razorback fans. We both do other things. He's the voice of the Razorbacks. I still produce along with Jim Jordan Inside the College Football Playoff for ESPN and have a production company and do some other things. But I missed, like when you're not on the air, you listen to other shows and you miss sometimes being able to get in there and like find out some things that help people understand hopefully what's going on or bring in some sort of point that matters. And I'm passionate about that. And I missed doing it. Chuck missed doing it. And to get a chance to work with him. He did a show like 12 to 15 years before I did. And then when he left, I actually took his old slot. And so for about 25, 30 years in there, it was Chuck, then me. And then I ended the run in 2019. And then we got a chance to come back and work together. And it's been fun. As you guys know, working with great people's a lot of fun. And so we've really enjoyed it. But the early mornings are a real thing.
It is. A show of record. I like that. So tell me, impact Bobby Petrino has had on this Arkansas program already. How big of an impact is Petrino?
Yeah, I'll go a little broader maybe than you were thinking there. But the impact first comes with he gave this fan base hope again. When you end the season last year, the way they did, the fan base, I was like, how are they going to sell tickets? And then they hired Petrino, and the fan base here has affectionate memories, not how he ended or how the firing occurred for things off the field, but how he went 21-5 in a 2-year period. And it was sort of lightning in a bottle for Arkansas because of the, difficulty that over the years that at times it's had winning. So, that you're bringing back all these great memories. The question is, what would it look like this year on the field? And I think, we did a lot of this kind of conversation going into the year, like how many more points is he worth a game? How many wins is he worth a year? And you figure he's worth, Arkansas was in so many close games they lost last year. 5 games, I think they lost by a touchdown or less. And how many of those games could they maybe have won if they had Petrino? And so that's the kind of conversation, a lot of hope. So start with that. And then going into the year, like you see what they did against an overmatched UAPB team. They would go 10 for 10, offensive possessions, touchdowns. Oklahoma State, they run up and down the field, should have won, made some mistakes, lose the game. Last week, not as good, some mistakes, but still what you notice about this team, and I just got done talking to Jaquindon Jackson because I host the Hog Pod. We still do that. We interview players and coaches about their journey, their story. And I asked him about Petrino, and he's, just the confidence that we have in the plays that are going to work, and we know what we're doing is what he really brings to the table. So I think there's been a significant impact. How it all plays out, how Taylor Green develops as a quarterback, but it's night and day in terms of what they look like offensively last year to what they're trying to execute this year.
So Bo, I am pulling for Sam Pittman. I think most people do. He just seems like one of those likable guys. But if it doesn't work out, better chance of being hired, Bobby Petrino or Gus Malzahn?
Bobby Petrino.
Wow.
I don't see Malzahn coming back here. Nothing against Gus. I like Gus, personal friend, long time. But if you ask the state like that question, if we did a poll question, and by the way, when I answer that, I'm not giving you any sort of insight on an administration or anything like that. I have no idea. And I fully expect Sam Pittman to be the head coach here next year because I think that they're going to improve as the year goes. This is a huge game on Saturday, I think, for either one of these teams to make a bowl game. But I see Pittman being back. But if he weren't, or he retired or whatever, the momentum that exists in this state, or the feelings of the fans in this state would be Bobby Petrino. I don't think there's any question about that. If those were your two guys in a poll question.
There is a former Auburn player returning on the Arkansas sideline, Travis Williams, the defensive coordinator. And this is a guy Auburn fans know well, SEC fans know well. I may have been too critical on his defense. I've said I'm not sure either one of these teams have a very good defense. I look there, and look, this time of year competition can vary. As you mentioned, Arkansas Pine Bluff was one of the teams. What would you rate this defense? I look, they give up less than 300 yards a game, but they're also averaging 22 points per game. And again, one of those games, Arkansas Pine Bluff. So this Arkansas defense that will face Auburn is what?
I think the jury's still out. I think they got better in some areas personnel-wise, but like a lot of teams, because of the portal, what do we really know? And I don't know that they showed a lot at Oklahoma State, which even though UAB gave them a scare, last week they were a little bit in disarray on defense going into the UAB game. T. Will's wife had a baby on Tuesday. He missed practice. That almost never happens in terms of a coach missing practice during a game week, as we know in college athletics. They had some players beat up and missed some practice time. And those might sound like excuses, but I'm just trying to evaluate, okay, what happened there? And so I don't think they played particularly well last week, but I also don't think they've had to be really innovative or really show much. And so I'm curious to see if we see more stunts, more blitzes, more attempts to get to the quarterback. They haven't really gotten to the quarterback this year. And I'll be interested to see, like at Oklahoma State, I felt like that's a guy you don't really blitz because he's a seasoned 24-year-old quarterback that's been pretty good, and they get the ball out quick. And then you have the Ollie Gordon effect. So I didn't think that we'd see a lot of pass blitz there. It'll be interesting this year or this week, both offensively and defensively, to see what Arkansas brings out that we haven't seen yet, because I think there'll be some things.
I'm interested. Maybe you got insider information with coaches or just your opinion here. If you're Arkansas, are you preparing for just Hank Brown, the new starter? Or do you also prepare for a little Peyton Thorne in case they go back to Peyton Thorne and some of the things he does? Do you go into this one preparing just for one quarterback or both of them because they play a little different?
I think what they're probably thinking is more of what they ran last week. If I'm not mistaken, you guys know better than me, but I think I heard Pittman talking about how they were able to do they added some more things with Hank Brown last week. And I'm sure that they've taken both things into consideration in terms of what they're going to face. I don't know if who's at quarterback at Auburn matters to them as much as just the scheme and what they need to be ready to stop. I think that's probably how they're approaching it.
I think the new thing they added was fewer interceptions with Hank Brown.
That's right.
I don't know how much new X's and O's.
On the others,
yeah, they talked about RPOs and zone reads.
Oh, okay.
I think there was a few more RPOs with with Hank Brown, which, by the way, that's an interesting name for a quarterback.
Yeah. Should have his own Fox animated show after the NFL on Sunday. Hank Brown.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, so I think most Arkansas fans, Bo, thought that they were getting a downgraded quarterback from KJ Jefferson to Taylon Green. You know, watching Taylon Green a little bit at Boise State obviously showed some flashes, was the Mountain West Freshman of the Year out there. But watching him early on, like if he can consistently throw the football, and I know this is a big thing that you got to get right if you're a quarterback, but his ability to just see an open seam and go. You can't control what that guy does as a defensive coordinator with his legs. I think Taylon Green has a ton of potential. Are Arkansas fans through 3 games kind of excited about Taylon Green?
Yeah, they are. I think some also are like, man, you got to hit open receivers. And you know, that every quarterback's got to be able to throw no matter how good you can run, right? I mean, eventually. I think that'll come. I don't think there's a better quarterback coach. I mean, there's a lot of good ones. But Bobby Petrino is probably as good a quarterback coach as there is in the country. And I think that's one of the reasons he's had success over the years. And I think Taylon Green will continue to develop as a passer. He's got a good arm. We've seen him make some good throws. Last week, he didn't have a good game, but he also extended a lot of plays with his legs, as you're referring to, turning something, nothing into something. And then made some big runs on design runs. I think Taylon Green has a chance to be a star. We'll see how his passing game develops. But look, we're 3 games into a roster and a brand new quarterback, you know, like that's 50 guys new and a new coordinator, new offensive staff. And so when that's the case, it seems like a luxury that you've got that as a tangible or intangible benefit to an offense that's still developing that you expect to be pretty good eventually. And as you're getting there, him being able to extend plays, the defense having to account for him as a runner, that only helps you.
3 things have changed since I last saw you, Bo. I've buzzed all my hair down. I'm bald now. Following your trend, I need to shave it next. Second one, we own our own company. And the third one is we're a basketball state now. I don't know if you know this or not, but the Bud Light countdown, the tip-off is 47 days away. What's it like there with John Calipari all of a sudden?
By the way, I love all of those things.
Yes.
Congratulations on all of that.
Yeah.
And success you guys have had. You know, nobody's a bigger fan of that and betting on yourself more than me. So I'm happy for you all. Man, the excitement around basketball here with Cal. I mean, first of all, it was just like people were shocked until the press conference actually happened. You're like, is this real?
Yeah.
And you know, we'll see. I know Cal took some criticism at Kentucky about the new way of doing things, and you know, is he going to adapt and all these things? Look, what Kentucky always was when he was there was relevant. Winning games in March Madness is a little bit of a crapshoot. I know that we all you know judge seasons on that, but the entire basketball season lasts a lot longer, and you want your team to be relevant. You want to go into games, big games, thinking you got a great chance to win. You want to have players that you think are going to play in the NBA and be first-round draft picks. He brings all those things. And, you know, I think everybody's dealing with NIL. I think he fixed the basketball NIL problem right away. And so there's a lot of excitement about basketball. But we are still a football state during football season. I mean, I'm not taking calls on our show or walking into the grocery store and having many people come up to me and say, hey, what about basketball?
Wow.
I mean, this team can go to a bowl game this year.
How much
That's
bigger?
a strict rule.
How much bigger is Calipari's NIL budget than Sam Pittman's? I mean, what is the difference there?
You know, I don't know the numbers, but I think the difference is that you might need $10 million, $5 to $10 million for a basketball program. I mean, you need twice that for a football because of the roster spots. But like, let's just say hypothetically, and make sure we heard hypothetically, they went out and got 8 or 9 guys and paid them all $1 million. Well, that's $8 or $9 million. You can't have a football program on just $8 or $9 million.
No.
But basketball, you can go out and you can get game changers, and you get 5 to 8 of those guys. That's a whole different animal than trying to figure out NIL for a football program, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's wild, man. Wild having Cal up there. All right, he is Bo Mattingly at Bo_Mattingly is where you follow him on social media. He and Chuck Barrett do a great morning show, starting it back up there in Northwest Arkansas. ESPN Arkansas is where you find that. Bo, thank you for the time. Good to see you again.
Hey, man, appreciate you guys. Keep it going. Love you guys.
All right, brother. See you, man. Love you. Bo with us on the Johnston RVCenter.com hotline.